Good day, and thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this webinar. My name is James Legg. Colleagues involved in this work also, Rudolf Shirima, Clarice Kasinga, and I'm going to talk to you about the status of cassava brown streak disease in Africa. So to begin with, a little bit of background. Probably as most of us know, brown streak disease is not something new. It's been around and recognized from East Africa for many decades, since the 1930s. It's caused by two species, cassava brown streak virus and Ugandan cassava brown streak virus, and of course spread both through propagation of infected planting material and the whitefly vector Bemisia. Not much changed through many decades since its first record until the early 2000s, when a new outbreak was recorded from mid-altitude zones of the Great Lakes, and since that time it's been moving westwards and southwards. With the renewed interest in brown streak disease with this new spread came a lot of reports of brown streak-like root rot from different parts of the continent, particularly West Central Africa, where there was a perceived threat of new brown streak spread. But most of these cases have not actually revealed, given positive virus test results for the cassava brown streak ipomoviruses. The frequency of surveillance work probably peaked in the period from about 2005 up until 2015, and since that time it's gone down significantly. So there's not too much new information about the status of brown streak disease in Africa. This is a little figure illustrating how spread has taken place. So we had the original endemic zone in coastal East Africa, moving westwards to the lakeshore areas of Lake Malawi in the 1930s, and then new outbreak in southern parts of Uganda in 2004, spreading around Lake Victoria into western Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, and eastern Congo, and by 2021, with further spread through eastern southern Congo and down into the northern tip of Zambia. I've just added a few little markers here to indicate where survey work has been conducted. That's those are the green spots, but where brown streak positive identifications have not been made. But in purple, these are areas where probably new work is required, since there is a possibility that there has been more spread from the known affected area further to the east. Not mentioned, not indicated on the previous map, but one of the recent assessments of brown streak disease came from some work that was done by a team of IITA in RAPE, the national program in Comoros, to look at cassava pests and diseases. So this was a general pest and disease assessment, but brown streak disease was one of the components that was looked at, and it was discovered that the disease was practically everywhere in the three major islands, in Ngazija, Mwali, and Nzuwani. Relatively high levels of incidence, and deep sequencing work was done, and both species of brown streak virus were detected. Some of the most recent, or relatively recent work that has been done in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has been done by Clarice Kasinga and his team, the IITA and INERA team, and this figure illustrates the pattern of change from 2016 to 2018, and a general, the darker color illustrates a higher level of brown streak incidence, so you can see a general increase in the level of disease over that time period, and this work's been published for anyone who's interested. And this is part of the CBSD project being run by IITA in Congo and funded by USAID. There was also some support that IITA received through the Connected program, which is a plant virus vector research initiative led by a couple of universities in the UK. And this supported some surveillance work in the western part of Tanzania, on the edge of Lake Tanganyika, eastern and southeastern parts of DR Congo, and northern Zambia. So working together with TARI, the national program in Tanzania, INERA in DR Congo, and ZARI in Zambia. And this allowed us to more or less map the extent of occurrence of brown streak viruses. So you can see it's mapping here, UCBSV, CBSV, mixed infection. And importantly, it did indicate areas where brown streak virus could not be detected. So northwestern Zambia, once you get into the southern parts of the northeastern portion of Zambia, no brown streak. Also the far southwestern parts of western Tanzania. Now, some of you who are followers of Cassava on Twitter may have been aware of the most recent work that's been done by Clarice Kasinga and the USAID CBSD team in Eastern Congo. And they've recently traveled from Bukavu through South Kivu and into Maniema province. So this is now moving towards the center of DR Congo. Still more on the eastern side, but it's moving further westwards. And he encountered significant brown streak infection to the degree that he said that the situation on the ground here in eastern Maniema is catastrophic. All of the local unimproved varieties are infected. So this is hot off the press information from, just last week. So to wrap up, some comments on future perspectives in terms of the surveillance strategy. So helping us to know where brown streak is and where it might be moving next. We need a more concerted effort, a more systematic approach to brown streak surveillance. At the moment, I think the only work that's being done in brown streak affected areas is part of the USAID project. The West Africa Virus Epidemiology Project, I think, is also involved to a little extent, but we do need to be a bit more systematic than we have been in recent years. As we do that, we can think of deploying some of the new approaches for surveillance that have been developed. So we're thinking here of portable molecular diagnostics, such as LAMP. We're thinking of scaling point-of-care phone-based methods, such as Plant Village Nuru, which is, as probably most of us know, a smartphone app that can detect symptoms of brown streak disease, and also developing point-of-care molecular methods. So this is the idea here is to develop cheap, convenient, simple lateral flow devices that can communicate with phones that could be used to extend surveillance in the field just by making things smaller, easier, cheaper. And with respect to brown streak and breeding, so what are some of the reflections that we have on how breeding should think about brown streak disease? Firstly, clearly, when we know which areas are affected, so within a country what the status is in the parts of the country, it's important for us to avoid promoting CBSD susceptible varieties in regions affected by CBSD or those immediately threatened. So if we're working in areas that are near to areas that are CBSD affected, then we should not be promoting susceptible varieties. We have a significant set of germplasm that has different levels of resistance or tolerance to brown streak disease, but there's a big variation in patterns of degeneration. So how those varieties get affected and how their performance declines with respect to brown streak damage over time. This needs to be evaluated for the varieties that we're releasing in brown streak affected areas, because as said, there are some varieties that can appear resistant after a single season. If you grow them again and again and again, as farmers will do, then things can change. So this is something that's important to bear in mind. The final thing is probably a little bit surprising from someone who works on plant pests and diseases. it's that brown streak resistance should be considered as one product profile trait. And it's extremely important, as probably most of us know, but maybe we need to be reminded that there are multiple other traits that we should not forget. We say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't want a variety that's super resistant to brown streak disease that has appalling quality traits or yields very, very poorly. So that's something as well that we should bear in mind as we think about how we're going to improve our germplasm development for brown streak resistance. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much, and hope to hear any questions, if there are any questions in the chat or discussion, and I'd be happy to respond. Thank you.